So, hello to you all, and I'm so happy today just to bring forward the very first podcast of the Magdalene Global Collective. This is a beautiful sacred container that is devoted to all of the devotional priestesses and priests across the globe in a shared remembrance of coming together in service and spiritual leadership. This is a living temple of connection, and we're weaving together hearts, lineages, and soul missions into one unified field of devotion. We're guided by the wisdom and teachings of Mary Magdalene. This collective serves as a vibrational bridge for those who feel called to embody divine feminine and sacred union consciousness. As she says, we are all gathered in the rose. She says the rose is a living essence of me, and her energy flows through the rose. And it's really about bringing this to the whole world, to be anchored here by all of the priestesses who do this work and that are working behind the scenes, that may not be the spiritual guru or leader that everyone knows of, but who do the work just with their pure hearts. And it's this collective is to align all of the souls together, that we're all one. And so everyone has a voice, and that we all serve in our way, that we bring the light to our communities and we bring the light to ourselves first and to our families. And I have a wonderful guest here today. She just brings the light, like as she comes in. Her name is
Hello.
Sar'ah Kelly. And how are you, Sarah?
Good.
She's
That was so beautiful. My heart. And I can see the big red cloak straight away the minute you started speaking. And like the embodiment of it, the embodiment of Mary Magdalene is beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so delighted that you're here today,
Me
Sarah.
too.
And I just wanted you to speak about, because who would be more natural and authentic than yourself? You've always brought that voice, through, especially for women and for men, because we will speak about the men today as well, and we're
Mhm.
going to honor the divine masculine as
Yes,
well and their journey, because I feel, Sarah, that needs to be shared as well.
100%.
Um,
100%.
Absolutely. So it's not all about the women, but also about sacred union and divine remembrance. And yeah, we're going to share that with the collective today. So
Thank you so
beautiful.
much for having me on. And yeah, I feel the energy straight away when you're speaking about it. And I think what is so important is when you're talking about it being a shared path, it's like that is the thing every single woman out there can embody that energy and will embody that energy. And it's just that knowing that it does, as you said, I love when you said that it doesn't have to be this person on social media or that's like has to be the front face of anything, that there's some women just at home with the kids that are completely embodying that energy and that priestess energy. And it's just beautiful. And as you said, it's that we're all one. There's like, I know in the collective and in our, there's them distortions trying to get us to be like, the competition and the patriarchy and the women and, them witches wounds and the old wounds. But I really feel like the likes of definitely your podcast and your energy and what you share, that's going to help women feel like, no, we're all in this together. It's a shared path. So thank you for bringing that message to everyone because I think it's so important. It really is like,
Yeah, it really is. And what was coming to me as well in the last few days from Mary Magdalene was like, how can we become the fully divine human in our everyday? Because like I have been on this path myself now for the last 22 years, and 22 years this year. And there's always that part of you, and I'm sure the listeners can really relate to this as well, that part of you that you may feel amazing and embodied and like, oh my God, I really received spirit today. I received that initiation, whether it was Reiki or IET or whatever whatever you were guided to do. And when you really feel, yeah, I'm in my light now. But when you're a mother as well, and we'll say if there's a roar from the child in another room, or you have to return back to a lot of pressure. Like when there's a lot of pressure at home, because we're human as well. We can separate ourselves, and Mary was really guiding us that we've to not, try not to separate, that we need to learn to, and it is learned and it has to be learned. But how do we actually get to embody this experience and be whole upon ourselves? Just like Mary taught in the gospel, in her gospel, in Mary Magdalene's gospel, that she was not divided upon herself. A heart cannot be divided upon itself. Because it causes such a separation. And that's not just the outside world, that's yourself splitting yourself in two. So, like, how
Yeah.
many listeners right now feel that they feel pulled in so many different directions? And there's so many different voices out there in the collective as well. Oh, listen to this, do this in the morning. I get up and have a 5 a.m. run. And, but that may be fine for those people. And like this podcast was all about, like, how can I help the person who maybe can't, and hasn't got the same access to, like, the lifestyles that they have, and maybe even the abundance, they haven't got the access to the abundance, and it was just really to bring it home that we can be human and we can be fully divine. So I'd love to ask you today, Sarah, you've done you've done a lot of priestess work, and very, very deeply in the last few years. You've
Yeah.
really been called, and I can see it in your soul. It's really lighting up. Like, you've really been gone very, very deep into the deepest aspects of you, which
Yeah.
you could have actually ran, and you didn't. You stayed, and part of you knew that it was a process, and you were
Yeah.
going to get through that time, and you were going to get back to the light, like the phoenix rising. And you really did, like, you really did. Would you like to share your story and
Yeah.
how the devotional practices and, like, the places you visited as you were guided by spirit, like the dreams you had, the journey you've had over the last few years? I feel the listeners would love to hear this. They'd love to
Yeah,
hear.
and it's so crazy because you just mentioned there about the journey and you mentioned the Phoenix Rising. And literally, when I had like the most crazy initiation in Bali, I seen myself as the Phoenix Rising, and then I ended up getting the tattoo, which is just there. So that's just crazy. Yeah, so I suppose for me, for years, it was working with all the light stuff and, like the fluffy bunny stuff, and which was amazing, which was all I could handle back then because I wasn't in my body like at all, really, because I suppose I had so much trauma, so much big T's. And again, won't go there with the big story, but there was obviously so much stuff that so many soul parts that were like out there that I had to do. I mean, so many years, the way it is, we're always retrieving parts of the soul. I've probably got about 15 soul retrievals at this stage. And it's like, I've only got one a few months ago for last year. So it's like, there's always them parts. And I suppose it was when really about, so for years it was all working and it was channeling beautiful stuff like magic wishes and like doing the masters IET with yourself and like the initiation of all that. And it was like, that's the thing. It's like, like, I don't believe that back then shadow work was even part of what I needed to do because I would not have been able to. It needs to happen the way that it's divinely planned. As we were saying today, like, we couldn't plan this now before we came on. It just wouldn't work because we don't work like that. We have to be guided. That's probably, and I think as women, most of us, like, it is a divine plan, and we can take inspired action, but it's always divinely planned. And then I suppose after years of that, I suppose the start of it for me was when I started working with, when I did the Shakti dance yoga and I did the tantric, it was mixed in with the working with the tantric goddesses. When I started coming into the body slowly but surely, now I mean working with a somatic therapist at the same time, it was like, then it started to get really, really deep, really working with them. And again, when I say dark mothers, they're far from dark. I feel, as you know, we both work with the dark mothers, and it's like they make you feel so
Halima,
safe.
Halima,
I mean, you'd be like,
Sar'ah, yeah.
like I remember before I started it years ago, I'd be like, don't even talk to me about them. And like, of course, like, you know, working with them, they make you feel so safe. Like no shit will stay around you with them there. But it's like, so when I started working with them, and it's funny, actually, I started working with like Lakshmi and then actually Kali. So they're the ones I was working with. Obviously, Caradwin came later, but it was like when I started working, it was like, wow, is like working with all these aspects of myself, working with the parts of ourselves that I suppose I just couldn't go there, really working on my nervous system. And the more I was working on my nervous system and with my work with like the goddesses and that spiritual aspect, I remember my very first session with Lakshmi, my very, like, again, in the morning, every morning we were working with a different goddess. And this is during that course. My devotional practices change up slightly, but some things stay the same. So every morning for me, it's connecting inwards, and I get up before the kids. I have to. That's the only time I don't have, like, actually, which is only recently, and I've moved house, so it's only this morning, probably the first morning that I've been here that I haven't been busy. But it was like, I remember Lakshmi saying, "You need to go to this therapist," and I was like, she's like me, I was like, a therapist? Like, I'm doing the goddess work. Do you get me? This thing was coming in. But it was the best thing I'd done. And she's from Graw Healing, Kelsey's her name. And like, I remember I started like, sorry, now there is someone at my door. 1 second, just 1 second.
We can edit, don't worry, Sarah, I'll edit that out.
Sorry. Oh yeah. No problem. You. Sorry.
You're okay. I'm just gonna put a little note. It was 10:43.
Okay.
I'll
So
say
that was the,
10:42 even. Yeah. Yeah.
but and the only
Yeah.
reason, sorry. So when Lakshmi said that, I started, and then when I really started, I realized, as much as the spiritual work was amazing for me and that I was getting so much from it all, I needed to do the body work. It took me, and I'm a dancer, so like I thought the dancing was enough to bring me into the body, but I really needed to work on my nervous system. So that's, with me, was a huge part of my journey, because my nervous system was so shook from, you know,
Yeah.
like from rape and from abuse and physical abuse and all them things. So I really did need to, that's what I needed. For somebody else, they might need it. Everyone's path is so different. But so when during that journey, it was very deep, and we went deep into our ancestral lineages and the work. And I did that, coincided with the Sacred Union course from the Magdalene Rose Temple. Melissa, you've done the Rose Priestess with, and like, that was so coincided with it, and it was very deep ancestral work. I mean, I was on the beach in Lisbon, like knives being taken out of me, like going back way to the lineages. And it was just so beautiful, but so painful. And that's what
Yeah.
I just started realizing when I did go so into the body and started doing more of that embodiment work. It's so beautiful, but so painful. And it's like, there's such, and I suppose being held by, like, it was because it was Kali Mad that, as it started kind of working with me as I went further on that journey. But like, God, you'd be thinking then, oh, I done that work now. Oh, I'm going to be grand now. And then you're like, then I done the shamanic course, which again, you're going so deep into the ancestral. But it's, I think a lot of that year with me was learning about myself and going so deep into, and really letting go of all the fears, like brought through the deepest fears, and like stuff with my son. As you know, you've helped me so many times with him. It's like, that for me, I could have gone through all the different traumas over the years. Nothing ever brought me to my knees like stuff with my son, ever. Like, no, nothing or nobody would ever have brought me that to my knees. But I believe that, like, without being brought that low and so to my knees, I would have never felt my connection with the mother. It brought me so in. And I think as well, like, I find like a lot of us, we've had that disconnection from the mother, and it might be our own lineage, situations that kind of create that disconnection. But coming back to the mother was just like coming back to like Mother Earth and like being in the body.
Wholeness.
Oh, and
Hmm.
it's like so
Hmm.
funny because I spent so many years being out of my body that now I only feel safe when I'm in there. Now I've
And the
like,
journey of the priestess is embodiment. They really do. They bring you back to your body, and even in the daily practice of, they'd always bring through messages that you need to do more yoga, or you need to start, because we don't get that full
physical.
release until you really surrender back to the body, because the body holds the trauma. Because a lot of people, like, they're trying to heal the mind, and it's amazing to work with the mind and work with counselors and work with psychotherapists, but like, the holistic path and the priestess path is all about wholeness. And it's
Yes.
all the parts of yourself. It's like the four legs of the table. We
Yeah.
need to have the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. And when you begin, like, when the thing is, you don't look for a dark goddess. A dark goddess, she begins to
She
work with you. She calls you when you're ready. And
Yes.
she may show up when you feel, like you just said, Sarah, she may show up to you when you feel whole and you say, well, sure, I'm not at a crossroads. Like, sure, I don't need to do anything. Sure, I'm perfect. Like, and you probably are perfect in your mind, because you've created a little bubble where everything
Yes.
is rose pink tinted glasses, like everything
Yeah.
looks perfect, and my relationship is perfect, and my kids are perfect, and I don't need to do any work. So what do I need to do? And you are broken down, like, and it's not
Yes.
to break you, but it's actually to dissolve what's not needed in your consciousness anymore. I did the
100%.
Blue Rose last year and was on a complete high like that. It was such a deep initiation, because the Blue Rose, like, it's also connected to the water. There's a water element in it, as well as the higher consciousness. And the element of water is the land of emotions
Yeah.
in the priestess work, and that is deep seated. It actually goes very, very deep within you to release the really unconscious blocks, to release what you didn't even see, what was hidden, like, from view from yourself. And the next day, and just for all the listeners as well who may have felt this way, who may have just want to bring some understanding to this, I actually felt very, very low the next day. Very, very low, that I felt so low. I actually didn't want to be in my body anymore, and it scared the life out of me. I picked up the phone to my husband and I said to him, look, I really need help today. I'm not feeling very well. And I just put it like that. I'm not feeling very well, but, like, I'm just getting this. And the next day, when I trusted the process, the next day I was straight back up. And I see it happen so much in the priestess circles as well in our journey, that it's not that you're completely rock bottom or you're completely hitting the floor with your energy, but it's actually that spirit takes away your energy and they recalibrate it. And trust in the process is what, that's the time we need to rest. And Mary is saying to not observe at this time, but just to rest in the stillness. We know what to do and we're guiding it. And the next day it is returned, like, it does come back to you. And it's
Yes.
just trust in that. Would you also like to share as well, Sarah, because it was really coming in there very strongly this morning as well, that there's a lot of people that have been through trauma, including ourselves,
Yeah.
and have been guided onto this path by the angels and by the goddess, and, being guided by spirit in her many different forms, because there's many aspects of Mary, as
Yes.
we might talk about later as well. But the person who has been through trauma and may be asking that question now, like, is this path right for me? Like, what advice would you have for that person, for that woman?
Like, the main advice is like, it might not feel or look like you think it should be, because I had been working and doing this and doing that, and I feel like I needed that space for a couple of years where, well, definitely the last year, if not two nearly, apart from maybe the odd bit. I did not, like, I was thinking, I'm going to be working more, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be doing that. But you just said it there about resting in the stillness. And for what I needed to heal and go through, I needed to completely be just almost actually for a little while, just really embodied and almost like in my own energy, like almost like that was what I needed. And then it was like connected. We're always connected to heaven and earth, of course, but you know the way it is. Sometimes we can feel a bit disconnected from either. But I needed to really find that solid ground and also have my connection above. But it was like, and to have that balance. And so some person might be called onto this path and they might be called on to work for a while and then maybe take a break. And like that's okay because that's your growing ground. And I think like I know it when we're talking about it and going so deep and people hear dark nights of the soul that that might sound, you know, like, oh God, I don't want to go. And when we hear dark, sometimes because of it's in our collective, it's like, no, I want light. But honestly, it's like when
Dark is actually the night, and it only means what is hidden from what we can see. It's their subconscious. It's their, like that, the land of emotions. Like they bring you to the underworld when you are a priestess, but the
yeah,
underworld does not mean some place that's bad or anything like Christianity speaks about. It's actually just all of our emotional state that we need to work through.
100%.
That's where the shadow work happens. So
100%. And exactly like you said there, when people hear certain terms, they're like, oh, like I was one of them people years ago. I was like, no. And like, no, it's actually beautiful. As you said, it's your own stuff. And it's
it's your
like,
own stuff.
do you know what? It's like you get more
Mm.
comfortable the more you go there. But I think this is just coming through very strong. And I swear, I should be so emotional even talking about it because I feel like, do you know, and I even feel, I actually being honest about it, I feel even a bit like this myself the last few months. Like in the last, like, you know, I think there's so many women out there that are craving sisterhood. I really feel that. And I have so many people. It's just a pity maybe you're all around the country because I have so many people and I can reach out to people that do this work. So I can't even imagine some people probably feel even more alone than that. And it's like I really feel like community and sisters being witnessed in their dark night, in their rage, in their sadness,
Yeah.
in their stuff.
That's where Sekhmet comes in as well, you know?
Oh, I really feel emotional
Yeah.
talking about it because it's like I feel like we were at a thing the other day and it was breathwork and it was all things. But for me, it was, you know, the usual stuff, breathwork and dance and stuff. But it was like for me, the parts where the women were getting to go into the circle and give a voice and they were saying,
Mm-hmm.
and it might be only three words, but being witness for the other women, that was the most like potent part for me. And I was like crying because women need each other for that. And I
Mm-hmm.
know now internally, I think it's all about our own voice, our own power. But I think sisters need to like get
Yeah.
together more. And it doesn't need to be a workshop for this. Of course, although I love going to workshops, but you get what I mean, just on like in a
Yeah.
community base. Because
A
I feel
gathering.
like
A
more
gathering.
a
Exactly.
gathering
Yeah.
where it's like
Yeah.
women are witnessing each other. And I think even my friend Leona, she was saying that she kept seeing things with the kids at it. And I was like, that is so missing. Like for myself, I'm gone from my partner the last few months. And like, you know, like obviously I'm limited to babysitters and, you know, he takes them one night a week overnight. And it's like that time then when there's some people going to stuff, you are limited with the, like, and I love my children, but of course, like there would be great if there was kind of a space where you could bring your children because I think my girls
Mm.
would love anything spiritual. That's what Leona was saying. Her child would love it. And she kept seeing it as well. And I just think there's like I really do feel like Mary Magdalene is trying to bring sisters together because I think
Yeah.
what I'm getting there now is like we heal the sister wound by coming together in community, witnessing each
Mhm.
other, where there's no one in charge, there's nobody, there's
Yeah.
no competition, there's just rawness. I just feel this like
Mhm.
silent space now. And it's just like there's just rawness and there it's almost like even in a space where it's silence and women are just together.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
really it makes me really emotional. And can feel like the yellow and the blue rose coming in very strong in the middle of the rooms. And it's just like she's waiting for that. It's like she's waiting for this. And it's like I'm seeing these like muddy waters that we kind of still as women and as just as a collective, she's saying like it's like we're kind of still coming through muddy waters because it's ingrained in us from
Yeah.
obviously, you know, it's all a bit in all of our DNA. So it's almost like coming out of this muddy water, and I can see this like, oh, so beautiful now. It's like I can see this pristine, that crystalline water with crystalline energy, and I can see like all the women holding together, like holding hands, and it's so beautiful, and it's so needed, and I can really feel like I really I thank you and honor you for doing this because I know that this is like I keep coming back to what you said at the start. It's the shared path. And I think it's
Shared
just
path.
gone so separate. It's like I'm doing this workshop, this person doing this workshop, and everyone's like, well, my thing, and like, and they're all the things are amazing as well. But I do think that really do feel like the Magdalene, she is
She's
really,
saying a bringing together of the
yeah,
collective consciousness where there has been separation. That's what's really coming true, and it came true in the last few days as well. I was speaking this to others. I'm not sure how well it was received. But what I was sharing was that we need to work together. That's what she said, was to gather together, to bring resources together, to unify our hearts. You know, to bring this consciousness forward as well. Like that, there is no separation. And maybe we could share this with our listeners as well, because this was really coming up as well of how, you know, the separation truly is the ego. And when you're in your ego, I've always said, you know, in all of my classes, like when ego goes in, spirit goes out, you
yeah,
know. Uh, you know, that's the biggest thing, and I've really have experienced that even within myself. I'm always called back to come back to the heart, you know, speak from the heart, and that's what it is. But there are some leaders, and there has been some spiritual teachers as well that have kind of separated themselves as well. It's like gone into the ego like too much. And
yeah,
that's where the interference comes in. And that's where the groups are, you know, that's where the information gets distorted. Mary Magdalene is saying that's where the distortion happens. And she's talking about the crack, you know, and it just appears as a crack, you know, and then that's how you can have this interference with outer energies that may want to influence separation and not unity, you know,
yes,
and you cannot see that when you're actually in it. And that's where you need to journey. Like that's where you need to go to someone who is of the heart, you know. And I'm not just saying I am of the heart, or Sarah, you're the only one that's of the heart. But like let your heart guide you to your teacher, and
yeah,
not just their credentials, not
yeah,
just what it says above their door, or
100%.
what's written on their website. Like it's not about that. And I think, you know, your angels truly, truly will guide you. And they'll always mind you. And even when I haven't been right myself, like let's say I haven't been really, really right myself, like 100,000% on a day I've had a client, I have found that's when the angels step in even more
More.
and
Yeah,
surround the client and myself and give me that energy that I need.
yeah,
And if it isn't right, sometimes the person can cancel, or you can cancel yourself, or it'll just dissolve, you know, like the consciousness will just dissolve. Yeah, and she's really getting her point across there, you know. But she was saying to me last night, she pulled me to her breastbone, and she says, "I'm holding you here," you know, and she wrapped this red cloak around me. And it was just amazing that you said at the start, I
yeah,
could see this red light coming in, and she's got
yeah.
this cloak
The
around you.
clothes,
That's the confirmation for
yeah.
me as well, you know, because I would always say, Sarah, who am I? Like, who am I to share this, or to, you know, to put through this information, you
But
know?
that's why I'm so glad that you are doing this because I know like I know you because you're very much like you'd be about other people, but you're not. You stand back and it's like, no, as I said to you earlier, I'm like, no, bitch, you're meant to be seen, be heard, like me in the fire. But like it is so true, like, because do you know what? You come from the heart. And as you said, of course, we're all human. I can be in my heart to my sacred hour in the morning, and 2 hours later, I could be like stuck in traffic after 45 school runs, and like I'm like, ah, but like no, like it's like, and it was very valid what you said a while ago as well. It's like it about trusting, because do you know, with certain things, there's certain teachers or certain people even reading books, like even famous people. There's certain people that I never ever would have a draw to, and I could have 10,000 people telling me, but I really would trust myself with stuff like that because I've never really been led wrong in that sense. In other ways, I can be very naive, and I used to not be discerning at all. But something about going to people or different things, I was always kind of guided in that right way. And it was so
Mm.
funny because obviously all this stuff is coming out about different people at the moment, and a lot of it is distortion as well. To anyway, we won't go there, but like it would be like certain people that came out about that people would idolize. I would have never resonated with their work. And it's funny, like it's like really, as you said, trust in yourself. You will be guided by
Mm.
spirit and the angels in the weirdest way. You might have never thought about this person. It was like me. I was like, oh, really? A therapist? I hadn't gone to like a counselor saying years. And it was like a course, the counselor I went to, she's a shaman, and she, like, so it's like, as you said, don't look
Amazing.
for like
Yeah.
logic and stuff. It's like, right, that's, I shouldn't say that. Of course, we have to be logical too. But for me, I just think after all the years, no, I trust my intuition more than I trust where my mind wants to go or the logic, because we're women. I'm sorry, yeah, and the men too have intuition. But as women, lads, we know, listeners, we know, you know that feeling in your body. Like if anyone can even think now of any relationship or friendship and something they felt in their body, or you've gone into a course or into something, your body probably showed you signs. Like I know for me, I've been in a
Yeah.
situation, even when say a relationship, and you know the difference. You might feel like it's like, oh, is this excitement and this anxiety, your body shaking, your body knows, your soul knows. And as you said, I think it's like just keep coming back to the heart, like we were talking about earlier, like, the boundaries and the speaking up. And it's very new for me, but it's getting more comfortable. And I
Yeah.
think once I keep coming back to, I'm speaking up, but it's still from here, from the heart, and it's not coming from this. I have to constantly tune into that too. Is this coming from
Mm.
my inner child now, or is this,
Mm.
and I've been constantly checking back in with like younger parts where I've parts work, like, and again, like Carriagewin kind of brings me to that. Carriagewin is another one of the mothers, and I did the priestess course, I did the year course, and it was amazing. And she really brought me to the ages thing. And it was like before it was like, oh, my inner child, but now she'll, like, if there's something going on, I'm like, oh, this feels uncomfortable. And a lot of the time at the moment it's 21 and 22-year-old. So
Yeah.
I have to be careful that what I'm coming from and what I'm speaking up about is not coming from them parts that feel vulnerable, and that, like, just tuning into that. And I think once you keep coming back to that, to the heart space, taking that deep breath in, connecting down with the earth mother, connecting, like whatever way, people probably connect all differently, but it's like whatever way, just coming back to the body, but back to the heart and the womb, of course. They almost go as one, like, don't they? It's almost like the heart and the womb are just, yeah, it's like they're almost like just one. It's like when you're connected in with fully with the heart, and you're feeling your body. You can feel it now. You can feel it in the womb, and as sisters, that's what I'm just getting now. It's like collectively our wombs are all connected, and
Yeah. Yeah. And even in a hospital, I've experienced this myself, even being in a maternity hospital, and you may not be gone yet into your labor, but when you hear other women starting to go in, I felt very, very strongly like Hecate was there. Like she's the midwife as well, and like that, the bridge between the worlds and the different worlds. And I really felt that, like, usually going into labor, it's in the night. It's usually starting in the night.
yeah,
And like that, you feel it in your womb. That's it.
yeah,
And there, all our wombs are like so, so connected. But Mary also speaks of as well, she's saying that us together, like we're united in the Black Rose. and
Yeah.
also the red rose, but she really speaks about the black. So what would you like to share about the black rose as well and that journey? Because that was a very, very deep journey, no more than myself. Mine would have lasted at least 3 years, maybe longer, that I was
Same.
really like in and out of a space of releasing, 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 and stripping away and dissolving consciousness and old patterns.
Yeah.
And I know it can take a lot of time as well. It's to honor the time that it does take and to stay on the journey. What would you share about that, Sarah? What did it
So
bring you?
I really, it's funny you said 3 years because it was 3 years ago now, actually. And I feel like in the last few months, a lot of the kind of, I hadn't really been genuinely, as much as I knew the angels were there, I felt it was Kerridgman every day. And then Kerridgman was like, no, it's more the angels, Mother Mary, like Kuan Yin, like Aphrodite, and who were we talking about earlier? Um,
Hathor, Hathor and
Pastor
Isis.
was him coming in, and like Isis and all, and Yeshua was coming in with the golden rose. But
Yeah.
before then, I'm not joking you, for the last few years, it was just Kerridgman all the time, and it was that black rose, it was the decay, constant decay. And as you said, even though there was little periods where you'd be like, woohoo, it's been an
Yeah.
excavation, like
It's like they dissolve your life sometimes to ashes.
completely.
It's
Yes,
like, and you feel like even myself, I mean, not to get emotional here, like, but I did lose friends and like relationships went out of my life. A lot released from my life now in the last few months, really coming to the end of that 9 year cycle. And it's such a painful process because
so painful.
even when it is a friend or a sister, like who you felt was your sister, um, you have to acknowledge that grief too. There's something in that grief and acknowledgement too that
Yes,
it's where the light shines, as she's reminding me here as well. Like it's, you need the black, and that's the reason for the black grave transmutation as when you're working as the priestess, you need the night because that's where you see the light. Like you need the dark to bring the light. And even, Mary Magdalene herself, I'm so aware of when she was in that cave, like when we connect back to the cave, like she was lifted up 7 times a day by the angels. And she always comes in with so many angels, like she really guides you back to the angels. So that's the part I wanted to share as well, that even though you may feel really drawn to what is this priestess path, like what is the roses, you don't lose your angels, like they come with you. They come
yeah,
with
they're
you, but they
always there.
actually bring you deeper to you actually really receive that purity. Because what you may have felt when you were doing like that IET and Reiki, Rahani, all of that, like this purity. But that doesn't stay with you, that dissolves as soon as you go back to your life. There's something about that I've really been receiving at the last few days as well. Because when you fully come to that place on your journey when you say, I actually really feel I'm in the embodiment of it now, the light stays with you and it does not dissolve.
I
And
love
that's
that.
the difference. And you can't get that from one day classes here and there. Or
100%.
going off to a class and
100%.
then throwing the manual on the kitchen table when you come home or placing it into a corner and not doing the work. You get that from continuously
100%.
showing up
Yeah,
and doing the devotional practices every day, even when it's
100%.
uncomfortable, Sarah.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
it is. And like as you said, there's days where I've been up during the night with, like yourself, there's days where I'm up
Yeah.
during the night with
And you're
meltdowns,
nursing,
and you're nursing,
breastfeeding.
and do you know,
Yeah,
and it's
children are
like
sick.
I know that sacred hour, and I always call it my sacred hour because it's so sacred to me. I will still get up, even moving house this week, and it's like I know I show up every day for that because I know I benefit, but I know everyone else benefits from it. And it's like, just like you were saying a while ago, the mornings, like when I did last week now, there was like loads going on, but like I allow myself just receive that pure light of God and just let the angels, my guides, and they come in with the roses, they fill me up. And it's like, for ages, you might need that because as you said, and sometimes you need that extra little bit. And it's like, as you said, like, it's like more bringing that into the like every day, but it definitely the devotional practices, and I know it might look different for everyone, but for me, connecting in with my soul, but every day bringing in the guides and connecting to heaven and earth, but bringing in, and as you said, they'll bring you to what you need to heal. It's not even like you have to try
Mhm.
to go there. You might be guided to something, and or you might be just guided to sit there, and they'll bring you through it. It's like that thing of like allowing it. It's not about trying to go to, the way you'd hear people say, well, I'm going to this plant medicine retreat and this other workshop and all the things to try to fix yourself. It's more about being led to where you need to go,
Yeah.
to allow yourself to just, it's not about fixing. I shared this in a video this
No.
morning. I hadn't shared a video in ages, probably prepare me to speak, but like it's just about working with them shadow parts, that darkness, to integrate it so we can become more whole. So them parts can become more whole so we can be
Mm.
more divine and human. Because that's the thing. Like Mary Magdalene had her, of course she
Yeah.
did. She was human too. And I think that's why she understands us. And that's why she's, of course, on her mission as well. And it's like, she's experienced all the human stuff as well. And like, she knows that obviously, like, they had like, I know, the way they had these scenes and there was so many of them and there was probably that
Yeah.
support in their own
Their
network.
community.
Do you know
Mm.
what I mean? And I
Mm.
feel like, oh, I'm getting so emotional now, and I really feel like the energy of Mother Mary as well. And it's like they had them elders to teach, to show them how to like embody, to show them how to work with their energy. And I feel like it's important for us all to come together. And it's also with our own families. It's about sharing that with our own children, when they're obviously, I know there's different stages. I mean, I'm not going to be trying to teach that to my like nearly, teenage adult son, but you know what I mean? It's about, but the more we embody it and the more we just show it. And even that, I think maybe that's why the community and everyone coming together is so important. So we can show the younger ones how to work with their energy, how to, and and to not be scared of them parts of ourselves again, not even just being Irish but as women, all the shame about the body and the sexual
Mm.
energy and how much distortions of course are in the collective about that. And it's like, sure, she worked with that, she knew how to work with that. And it's like, so often people think, that again, it's the shame, and that voice is still there. And even with our own children, I suppose it's about changing that story. Um the more we embody it, the more we teach them. But I definitely feel like, again, community, they want to kind of help us to have that type of community, because even though they had so much external noise and they had all that conflict, and by God, like, were they put through
Mm.
the mill as well, they had that strong sense of community, and they were taught from such young ages that they knew the tools and they were taught the tools. So I really feel like, yeah, the younger ones, I keep seeing the daughters, but also the sons, it's like helping to teach and again, for them to just work with their own
To
energy.
hold and to hold the
Hold,
feminine as well.
to
Yeah.
hold the
There was a
feminine.
beautiful message that came in from my daughter yesterday from Mary Magdalene, and my daughter would definitely be an empath as well, which I was myself growing up, but we wouldn't have known what it was or what was happening. Like, you're just called soft, or you were too sensitive, or you were but really it was that you were taking on the energy of that class, the energy of the school. You were feeling like what wasn't even acknowledged, really. You were feeling all of that. And as an empath, we can put on weight, sometimes. Maybe some don't. Some can go the opposite way, where they lose weight when they're stressed and they really go into like that, the anxiety, nearly going into eating disorders. Like, I would
Yeah,
have struggled with an eating disorder when I was very young, very,
me too.
very young. Sure, you did yourself as well. Yeah, just to acknowledge that. So we know what we're talking about. But it was so beautiful, the pure message that came in yesterday, because I had a little crystal sitting in the windowsill. It was an amethyst crystal. And Mary said to me, let this be the only weight that she carries. And put it into her hand and tell her that, you know? And I only told her this morning, I should have told her yesterday, but because we were in front of the lads, and I was like, if my little lads hear this now, they're going to maybe make laugh or something. Because the
Yeah,
lads
same
wouldn't,
boy.
now they're there, but they wouldn't be quite there yet. Like she is. She'd come to my classes and she loves being in the energy. She just loves being in the energy. But like I told her this morning and she nearly cried and she was like, oh, she really took it into her heart. Like she felt it. And no, I do feel children, like I do really feel called to help children as well. And I've had so many children come lately for little sessions, and I'm so happy to help them because they really need the little support as well. But in a
They
way
do.
that you're not making them feel like there's something wrong with them. Like I was
Yeah.
saying to the mammy, tell them they're coming for a head massage. And I massaged her head, and I always like, if a client feels comfortable, I bring in the massage. I'm really guided to do
Yeah.
that because
Yeah.
you can really bring the energy into the body and into the tissues, into the
Yeah.
cells. And it just unwinds it, like it helps them relax because sometimes the mind is like separating them from the healing energy, and it's like they're not really safe to receive it. And I find that physical touch can really just help to bring them into it as well.
Oh, yeah,
But
100%. And I love that you have kids going because again, I think you obviously have your own kids. And I think like of course people who are not mothers now still have it. But I don't know, there's something about, when someone's work, and I feel like it's me as well. It's like, that your work as a mother and as like in the world is just as important. And it's like, it's to do it even more than the lineage. It's something some mothers carry. And I feel like, yeah, I can see a big line of kids behind you, like small little kids. And they look
uh,
really young as well. And it's like, and I know we were talking about this earlier because I said, like, I'm in a total blank canvas stage. I really, like, I have a kid's book, I have this and that. But because I feel like a new person starting off, I feel like I shed so much of myself that it's a blank canvas. And before that would freak me out going, I'm not doing anything, I'm not creating. But it's like, no, this is actually exciting. But it's like we were talking earlier about the kids. And the more that we're talking, I'm like, yeah, in all of our communities. Like there might be some others that actually they're probably like, yeah, no, I get this, but they might need a little bit of support and help, just like I needed it over the years. You've often
what would
helped
you
me.
recommend, Sarah? Like you've done a lot around children, haven't you done a lot? Yeah.
Yeah, I just done the SNA course and I done I'm doing an adolescence and child mental health course. And it was so funny because for ages the work was just so deep. I was just really trying to keep up my everyday life and be a mother and also go through such deep, deep work. But now it feels like it's trying to go out and help in the wider community. And I definitely, like, I seen something, I was sharing this to you earlier, I've seen something about a charity and like trying to help kids, like sensitive kids, but like helping kids in general. But I think in general, in everyone's community, even if it was like, because I know sometimes it can be like people can be nervous sending their kids to something like, sometimes people can be like, will that be too much for my kids or like meditation? But as you kind of said earlier, like even if it's only a gathering, we're like
Mhm.
mother and children, like I'd have no problem meeting up with like people and like doing a meditation and doing like some maybe art, like kind of like what are you feeling? And like I've done some confidence building things with teens, but I think
Yeah.
of making it more than like a thing of like that I'm holding something. I think it needs to be more community, like kind of based, and I really feel like and probably women need to do this as well. Like, I mean, I'm talking about children. I was saying it'd be great to be able to bring children to stuff, and there's probably a need for both. Like, you said earlier, like being you could hear
She
the women.
says there, sorry to interrupt, but
No,
she
no, you're
says
grand.
there, it's like she's saying the I will soon be dissolved because they're really bringing this unity consciousness. So it's dissolving the I because we have always felt in the past, myself included, all these years, I'm guided to do this. And it's all about the I feeling that we're the one that needs to save the world. Like we have
Yeah,
this healer imprint of I need to save the world, I need to save everyone, I need to do this, I need to change the world. And it cannot be done just by yourself.
no,
It's really,
oh,
and it's a different energy altogether. I mean, look at us speaking here now together. Like there's no competition here.
no,
It's just a flow and it's talking about, that really beautiful, pure energy. Like it really, really is, you know?
I have
And
the shivers.
yeah,
Like, and I
beautiful.
love that. And that is exactly why I'm so glad that Mary Magdalene pushed you to do this, because I know that it's like, that's why I'm so glad though, because
It took a
that
while.
I know, I can imagine, because and I know the way she's a little, she's a bit more of, yeah, she'll push a little bit harder, because she knows when you're ready. But it's like, that is so important, because I think in so many of, you'll even see it, everyone is like, okay, abundance and this and that. And like, like sometimes people are losing the point of it. It's like, I want to do this now and I want to be the person to do this and that and the other. And it was never meant to be like, literally, I remember channeling magic wishes and I was like, then I stopped doing it for so long because I wasn't working. I was like, fuck, I want to be able to tell people to just do this so they can pass it on. Like, I don't want, do you get what I mean? It's like, I was told I'd do a teacher manual at some stage, and I was like, then I can actually just, because it's just an energy thing. It's not that I'm like anything fucking special. Everyone has, and this is another thing we were talking about this
I love
earlier.
the way you say that.
It's like, remember you said earlier about the medicine, like, and us all having our own medicine. And we were
Yeah,
talking about that, and it's like, it's so funny, like, because it's like, as you said, like, everyone, say now sisters working together, say like sisters coming together of even say 10 people, right? Like,
yeah,
everyone
yeah,
will have their own probably medicine, their own purpose, but together women are unstoppable. We're fierce. Like, so you rang me this morning, my whole body was shivering. I could feel that, like, that energy running through my body. I was not feeling that same when our energies didn't, when we connected before this call, my whole body was like, because energetically we're stronger together. And
yeah,
yes, we'll have
yeah,
uncomfortable
yeah.
parts. We all have it in the psyche of these different parts of, as feminine, and that all them wounded parts.
Mm,
But we can heal it together. Like, we can heal it
mm,
in the, like, together in community. And I think, like you were saying earlier with the medicine, it was like so funny because, and as well, talking about the different courses and how the different initiations
mm,
bring you what you need at that time,
mm,
but then your
mm.
own medicine will come through so different. And you, as you said, like, I don't teach IET, but I know that IET is with me. I know the angels
Yeah,
are with me, and it's like,
yeah,
it's just not my path at the moment to teach it. And it's like, but like, it's the embodiment of it. But it's like, as we were saying, like, I learned these different techniques of different things to do with energies, but I work with my own guides a different way and it works for me. So it's like
yeah,
really, I think what we're really being called at the moment, as well as, I know, community, but that sovereignty and just really trusting your own inner voice. There's so much noise, there's so much different things, different influences, and it's like, okay, social media and everything is great as well. It has such advantages, but it's like, keep
it
coming
can be
back
so
to
noisy.
internal.
Yeah, it can
It's
be,
so
it's
noisy.
a real pull on the energy as well, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I mean, I took a
Energetically.
break again for months until I felt
Mm,
solid in my energy, because I knew I'd be pulled, and I really needed to go internal. And I used to kind of get a bit judged for that sometimes. People like, you can't keep going on and off. Like, how are you ever meant to build, like, whatever? And I'm like, but I know spirit tell me when I'm to go on. They tell
mm,
me when I'm to do my stuff. And I can't work in a way to make, like, I can't do it that way. It just don't. I've
yeah,
tried it. Anytime I try to ever do anything, like, I don't think I've been lucky, obviously, in that sense. Like, I'm carer and stuff for my kids, so I've never had to, like, depend on just the spiritual work. So maybe that's why anything I've done from was just guided. Do you get what I mean? But I don't think it works when we're trying to think of it any other way. The way we work, it has to be just led and channeled. Do you get me? We couldn't probably
mm,
plan, like, you couldn't really plan anything, but it's like really the internal compass for everyone, men and women, really. And I know as women, we kind of do probably have that trust a little bit more, but just really allowing your own soul to come in, to be the voice. Like, that's what I'm connecting with in the mornings.
yeah,
And yes, the guides will come
yeah,
in this bit of light, but it's like your own soul has the answers. And I think for me, it was always like, who am I going to get a reading off? And who's going to give me the answer? And how am I going to get rid of this energy? You've heard me in this state a million times. But it's like, finally, I'm like, no, hold your own. Like, and of course, I still get help off
yeah,
people and I still go for sessions when I'm guided to, but really letting your own, I think that we're being really brought, everyone I think is really being
And
brought to
this
that
unified
sovereignty.
consciousness, yeah, because Mary Magdalene's saying the same. She's saying, the whole collective is receiving this, like it is a unified consciousness,
Yeah,
and even the men, like she really wants to talk about the men now as well, because, my really attention was brought to, I noticed keeping the confidentiality, but I noticed with a lot of clients, like what it was coming up about the home and the husband and like the family unit as well, and when I see a person, I don't just treat that person, I treat the whole, because they are connected to everyone else in their lives as well. And like if the other people, like if their children don't receive the healing or to be just brought back into balance, sometimes the child doesn't need a lot. They're really holding the energy of the parents, because they are so spongy in their energy as well. So just to share that with you as well, and just to connect with the husbands. But I've had so many beautiful stories as well that I have never actually had their husband in the office, but even sending the healing during the sessions and the one-on-one mentoring, they've gotten back to me and said, look, the husband like has just had this breakdown or breakthrough,
I
or
love
their
them.
heart is open and they're bawling and they don't know what to do. But like it's
I love
amazing because
that.
the
That's
first
amazing.
thing the first thing as well is they have to break down first. Like there's always a part of you, don't be afraid, she says, because it is required that you need to break down. That's part
That's
of the
the breakdown.
process too.
Yeah,
Have the emotional release, and then you come together in a unified way. It's not that there's a power struggle.
yeah,
If there is a power struggle, like reach out for someone for healing as well, because there's could
yeah,
be an energy that needs to be cleared there or something
yeah,
shifted. Just a
yeah.
perspective, like, and it's usually the consciousness. And everything will start to change, everything will start to shift. Like I'm in a place now, even our relationship, like my relationship with my husband, like it's at a completely different level. I like that now. It's 16 years later this year,
Yeah,
to
amazing.
really come to a place, to really be in a place to receive as well. And that you come to the unified sacred union energy. It's all about the sacred union. But I found working with Mary Magdalene and working with Jeshua for a long time now, and Mother Mary, that they really do work on the feminine and the masculine. And it's not this, we'll just work on the feminine. Like you actually can't,
You
because you'll
cannot.
become out of balance. And they, as
100%.
well, for them as well, like they can be so under masculine because of the Irish conditioning as well. And they just need to be brought back softly, not like to be broken down with a hammer, but or
Yes.
a chisel, like, just to be brought back nice and softly into their hearts, slowly as well.
Yes.
And that's why I do recommend, like, even for yourself, Sarah, Mary Magdalene is really saying the one-on-one mentoring sessions if people reach out to you, because you need to hold their hand for a little while,
Yeah.
and really feel, maybe even sometimes people are being brought into a group too soon, I'm coming to realize, when they actually really need the sessions and just the one-on-one to be
Yes.
held for a little while,
Ooh,
and not
shivers.
just be brought into like a group or a container where it's like everyone's going into trauma. Like it's too much. It can be
Well, it's
too much.
and
And
it's
then
100%. That is so important as well because I was that person who was healing for everyone in the room and getting sick for one person over there and getting this and I never understood it, and it took me so long to understand it. And even when I was at a thing now the other day, I mean, there was people screaming, crying, and it wasn't like I wasn't being empathetic towards them. I obviously was, you know what I mean, but I wasn't taking it on. Whereas if that was years ago, it's something I'd be puke. So that's such a valid point as well, because I think people, and sometimes even like the other day, it was like just breath work. It's like breath work, I think, as well, for people to be informed. When you're going to anything like that, it's different if you're just gathering, if you're just coming
yeah.
together and you're not. But if you're going in to do big work and whatever it might be, even breath work can bring up so much for people. Just to be aware, yeah, that like that can bring you to places where that are very uncomfortable. And as you said, I suppose it's you
And
be
to have
drawn.
as well, she's really saying as well, like to have responsibility with your own energy as well. Like if you feel you're carrying an energy or
Yeah,
what you have is so much, like you feel heavy going to that group, as well to take a step back, because
Yeah.
that's when you actually really need to just ground and go to nature instead. You need to actually
Yes.
have that alone time as well,
Oh my
you
God,
know,
that is
and someone who
so
has
important.
walked through it to actually guide you through. You need someone who has lived it, who has gone through it and who has come out the other side. You
Yeah, I
know,
mean,
because
you
if that
can't.
person's
That
still
is
going
so.
through a process as well
Yeah.
and they're still in that energy, they can't support you
Which is
because
exactly why I took a break the last few years. I was like, and I see it happening a lot. See people going through, and I get it. Some people, I suppose, have to. But even if it meant if I wasn't in my position, I mean, it's not like I get loads. I'm just a carer for the kids. But like, honestly, it keeps me going, so I'm good. But if I didn't have that, and say if I had to work, there's no way that I would have been working in this. I couldn't, because I will only do a session, and I will only hold space for someone when I am feeling good in that space. Of course, we can all have our down days, but as you said, when you're going through that deep process and you're carrying all that, it
immense.
is so true what you said there, going out to nature. Don't be looking for like, and I know sometimes coming up to things will come up, but you know the difference. And
There's
you
a
know
difference.
sometimes I'll cancel something and like that I meant to go to, and like that, usually it will be nature, or it might be that I need to go
Mm,
into bed with a hot water bottle and play music. I might need to just cuddle up, and I might end up just crying. Like when my marriage split up, and you said something very important as well earlier on, which I wanted to
mm,
speak to, as you were speaking about the grief and how important it is. Like there was so many relationships that would end for me when I was younger, and I'd be like, because I was the one that say would have left the relationship, because I've always been the type, if something's not right, I will walk away because I know that it's not fair on the person or me. But if I didn't, like, even though I was the one to make the decision, it was so hard because obviously a decade, and again there was so many lessons. But the difference, and talking to the male is like as well, is that, and this was a shadow part of me that I want to share because I think other women might actually resonate with this as well, is what I used to do is, and this might sound wrong or bad, but it's just, this is the truth. And I do think people will resonate with it. I used to have to, I could find plenty wrong if I needed to with my
mm,
relationship. And I could have made him wrong instead of taking responsibility for that. I wanted to walk away from the relationship. And I could have
mm,
made him wrong and then have the story of what he did and then had that. But instead, it was like, no, you've made that mistake a million times. And the way that
mm.
I'm after kind of learning, this is why I look at my past
Yeah.
relationships as a success, is that I learned so much compassion and empathy in that relationship. I learned to really, like, at times have that unconditional love, even when I felt pissed off. Do you know, like to hold kind of like, because I was so fiery, but it was like taking responsibility for how it felt and going into being honest. Like people think like, you know, and it's funny because I know you will go into it, and I know Keita's done the work. You'll be straight, and I know you can only do that. You have to speak the truth.
I'm
But like
very
in us,
truthful. Yes.
you have to, you could not go without it. And it's like that's what I became that in the last few years, which was probably very uncomfortable for the partner that I was with, because he wasn't used to that level of honesty, and I could not lie, and I had to keep it so straight. And yes, at times I was like, oh, you'd almost be like, you know, you're like, oh God, like maybe it was easier when I wasn't like this, but no, and I wouldn't change it. So I look at it like a success because I learned, and he grew so much as well. And it's like, but the grieving process of it, I still had to grieve the loss of everything to do with it. And I did have to, for months, I had no mind for going. I went to one dance class night to leave. I was like, no, I can't even be here. And like, I had to really go through a real deep grieving process. And every week when I had that night my own, I cried all night. I wrapped myself up in blankets. I had a lot of rage as well from, from obviously people being upset with my decision, and like, choosing myself for once and really being honest about it and going, this is my decision. So, like, I think for anyone going through anything, whether it's the loss of a job or or a friendship or a relationship, even though you might know you might be the one to leave the job or be to have to finish the friendship or the relationship, that doesn't mean that you might the grieving, it doesn't make the grieving less, and it's about honoring yourself in that grief.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think
To
collectively
be
as
in
well,
your truth.
to be in your
Yeah,
fruit and
absolutely.
allowing yourself that time, giving yourself that time, because you're like honoring yourself then. Because if that was me before, I'd be like, bitch, you better get out, you better get yourself busy. And like for me, I suppose I was the one who was always in summer, you know, go, go, go. And then I suppose
Mm.
honoring the seasons, going through the priestess course really helped me to start really honoring that winter, which was the period, interestingly enough, that I was in, and really allowing yourself be in that winter, in that darkness. And that might look like summer for somebody else. That might be their time where they need to go inwards, and just remembering that, like, you will be looked after. Like, I don't know how I managed. Sometimes I was like, how did I manage to just pull all this together in the last few weeks? But spirit will help you. And I think the more that you trust yourself, the more you trust spirit. Then it's like it's the whole thing, isn't it? It's like trusting yourself
Yeah, and
and spirit.
it's not the spiritual bypass of just putting a plaster over it and
Yeah,
dulling it down and saying this is okay. You
yeah,
know, I'm just gonna forget about it now and move on. Like, because that's a very Irish mammy way as well. It's like, oh, don't
that's
talk about
amazing.
that now anymore. Now we'll just
Yeah,
brush that now under the carpet now, and they move on. And it's like that's what we learned as well in childhood because that's what we were taught. You
yeah.
know. Yeah, we won't talk about that. And then nothing gets actually aired, like there's no truth. But like when Kalima does come into your life, or Hecate, or Cheridwin, or in whatever way she comes to you, like it could be Artemis, it could be Athena, they're really strong, powerful goddesses as well.
Yeah.
Um, and Archangel Michael, of course, as well. But like they really do go, hang on now, you can't numb yourself here. You
Yes.
have to, this has to come up, and it'll keep coming up and keep coming up until it's cleared.
And Mary
Um,
Magdalene, I
yeah,
feel like she really helps you to embody the feeling of it, doesn't she? Like to
yeah,
really, I feel like,
yeah.
the way some of them are very
She says it
ethereal.
has to be honored and embraced. And then it's truly shifted and cleared. But we've
I love
all
that.
been there. Like I will put my hand up and say I have been there myself in the past. And I really wanted to speak about this today as well. It was really coming true. Was that I was like you as well. I did do that and I did say, oh, I'll just, it's so easy now to just put all the blame on the other person. Oh, it's them, they're wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong,
Yeah.
they're wrong. And but like it's really to go, hang on, it could be a mirror here and, I'd always go away and think about it, even though I would be tick, but I would always go away and think about it and go, well, was
Yeah.
I wrong? Well, was I wrong? And I'd really talk about it and think about it in myself and then put the pieces together. And I always say I'm sorry first. I'd always come back. No matter what I would have said, I would have always come back and said I'm sorry first. And I was the glue then putting everything back together, in whatever way it was. And the Honopono prayer is actually amazing as well.
So
It's
powerful, isn't it?
so, so powerful.
So
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah.
It's
And for anyone
amazing.
who doesn't know it, it's I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. You know?
I love it. And it's
Yeah.
so simple, but so powerful. Like, I think as well, even with ourselves, sometimes, we can have things with other people, but sometimes when you're having a day where you might be in your mom guilt or you might have something going on with your kids or whatever,
When you're
I feel
human,
when
human
you're,
self. Yeah.
it's like the forgiveness of yourself. I feel like I had some stuff going on last week, and it was now like it was deep, and it was to do with my son, and like yeah, there was a lot of the Honopono and a lot for myself to forgive myself as well,
And
and
it always seems to ramp up as well when you're tired. Do you ever feel that?
always. Yeah, I was like
Yeah.
moving house, and then it was like the workshop booked, and you know the way it is, sure. Look, as you said earlier, it's not like you get it. Like it's not like you get a choice. It's like it's like and do you ever find as well, like when you're tired, you're like the dark mothers when you're going through the darkest times. By God, you don't like them by your side is so, so amazing. Like when my dad was having his bypass, and at the same time, I had stuff going on with my son, and it was one of the darkest times in my life with what I was going on with my son. And honestly, that was when Kerridwen pulled me onto her course, like, and you'd be thinking,
Mm.
do I need to go any deeper? But actually, no, it's because they will hold you in that darkness. They will hold you while you're being
Mm.
like to the depths of your soul. And I think it's important as well, like, yeah, like these days, remember years ago, I'd be like, I go to anyone who's like pure light. And these days I'm almost like, have you been to the depths of your soul? And even if they'd have faced on them, I'd rather that, that kind of a way.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because obviously people can meet you, I think, as healers, we can only meet people as deep as we've met ourselves with people coming to us. And there's no judgment
And
there. It's just
sometimes
great.
as well, like the light may not always be the light. Like that's
Oh,
what can
yeah,
happen as well, you know.
I've experienced that.
I've often found, like, even as a child, like I'd be like the animal like that would be growling at someone who you think is nice, like, but like that, I'd always see through somebody, and I'd say, no, this is what they're really like, and I can just see it a mile away, you know. And it always comes true, like it always I always find it out, maybe sometimes the hard way in the end, but it
Yeah,
can be the sweetness is light, and I've never been able to do it. So even through those friendships or the times, where I'd be like, well, I'm kind of having a bad day, and I'd be in the bad day because
yeah,
I wouldn't do the sweetness is light. I was like, no, I have to be me, and if I'm not myself today, that's okay. So that
yes.
kind of way, and
And that's
just be our
important.
true selves, and not being
Yes.
walking around, oh, but this to this, and it's a beautiful day. So when I greet someone, I say, oh, it's a beautiful day. It really is a beautiful day to me. Like, I'm so honest.
Yeah, and that's
That's
so
where we need
important.
to be.
100%. Because as you said there, it's like you be wherever you are. Like I'm different today than I was a few days ago. And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was like, and it's like I can't even fake it. It's gone to the stage where it's like, but I was the one for years who had the smile on the face. And when you grow up, sometimes being the one who's the happy, funny one in the family or the happy, funny one of the group, it's almost like people have to get reintroduced to like the real you, who now is not going to be that all the time. You're just going to be where you're at on that day, and that could look very differently every day. Like I was
yeah.
really overwhelmed when I first moved in, man, like moving a house with all the kids and furniture, doing it solo on your own. Like it was like go, go, go. And I was feeling a bit like cranky. I was feeling a bit overwhelmed. I was feeling, when you're packing on the stuff, all the emotions as well. And it was like, but then it was like, just allowed all that. I was like, and that's just where I'm at today. And then like, a few days later, you can be flying it. You know the way it is. It's like it's up and down, but it's not about like just pretending and just going, oh, it's all amazing 24/7. Because I think that's another thing. Sometimes people probably see people online and they say, oh, this person's always happy, or they're like, is there something wrong with me? Because I don't feel like that. And I think that's important for women to be sharing. You
And
know the
not
way,
to compare yourself to anyone else as well,
yeah,
because that's what I received too from the
love
Magdalene.
that.
Like, this is what I actually was supposed to share earlier, I trailed off. But the point was is that sometimes when you feel in the presence of someone and you actually feel that, oh my God, I actually don't feel worthy in front of this person, like this person is more pure than I am. Sometimes it's not always the way. Sometimes it
Yeah,
can be the wolf in sheep's clothing,
yeah,
because like it can be an energy that's blocking you as well. Like sometimes they're not always in their authentic truth. And for
yeah.
me, I really, really have to say that the priestess path has definitely brought me that. It has definitely brought me to what is real and what is authentic, and being able to guide other women home, like to guide them back. And the home is always themselves. It's
Yeah.
not anyone outside of you. It actually is you, but you
Oh,
still need to do the
yeah.
work to get there, the actual work, and not like, I'll read a book and I'm there now. Because you may feel like you are, but you're probably not.
Yeah.
And it actually does take years. Like the high priestess certificate, it's not something you can just hand out and
Yeah.
go, well, you've done 13 months, or you've done 2 or 3 years, you've done whatever, or a day. And there you go, you have it now. It's actually a lifelong journey. And I have
100%.
to say, it's taken my whole lifetime. And I really see it'll probably take me even longer. If I'm really honest, it'll probably take me even longer
All of
to
us.
get to the level I'd like to be, because I'd like to have the sweetness of Mother Mary, and to have the gentleness like a lamb sometimes, where sometimes I'm not. I could be like Shekmet, no more than yourself. And but it really has brought me to that, like, there's so many aspects of ourselves within ourselves as well. And every
Yeah.
one of those aspects need to be loved and held as well. Like that's what saying. She's saying, let no part of you actually be in the shade. Let all part of yourself become whole now, as you
Oh,
become whole upon yourself.
I
This
feel
is
that
the
so
return
deeply.
of the rose. And
I
she's
love
handing
that.
you a rose now, Sarah. And I can feel the rose just coming in for our listeners as well. So this is the path of devotion. And I'm just really glad that you have listened in and you have gotten to share what we have spoken about this morning. And feel free to reach us if you feel guided. What would you like to add as a little closing statement, Sarah?
I love what everything that you've just said there at the end, and I love how Spirit just wrapping it up there towards the end anyway. They just know everything. Like I love it. Yeah, I suppose just again, just echoing what you said about I really feel that because there's so many groups and so many things out there that make people think you have to be here or there or listen to this person to become whole. And I think that's the biggest kind of like the biggest trick really. And I wish that I knew it like a long time ago, but again, it wouldn't be my journey, is that we have it within ourselves. And yes, we will reach out to other people. And yes, we need community, but to realize that that internal compass, Mary Magdalene, now I can really feel her coming in with that red rose and I can feel her bringing it around people's feet. And I can see the gold ank kind of coming up from the feet, then like up through the body, coming around people's bodies. And she's
Yeah.
just saying, let yourself be held in the womb of life. May you be anchored in love. And may you be anchored in light. And may your womb be well and your wisdom be heard and told. Yeah, I feel like that's what she needed to share. And thank you so
Beautiful.
much for having me
And
on.
we'll definitely speak again. We'll definitely gather again as well.
Yeah.
You know, I feel there's definitely more to share as well.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
so much,
you.
Sarah. This has just been wonderful. You've
Thank
made my
you.
day. You've made my
You've made
year.
my day.
Thank you so much.
Oh, love you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of love.
Love you.